Hello fellow coffee botherers, in this video I'm going to explain why it may be the case that you can't afford not to own a coffee machine. This may seem like a weird statement, but stick with me, it might completely change your approach to investing in a coffee machine, and it might help you to convince the other half to let you spend a bit more. This idea first came from a question someone emailed me with a while back. I've had a few similar conversations since then, but this first one took me by surprise because I'd never really looked at it that way before and I'd never properly done the maths. The question was, if I buy a coffee machine, will I be able to make coffee as good as the coffee I buy daily from the big chain cafe on my way to work? Also, based on the cost of using freshly roasted beans, how much money would I save over the average lifetime of the machine in total? Let's deal with the first question. Can you make coffee at home as good as your favourite big chain cafe? Yes, absolutely, no problem. I don't even need to ask which coffee machine you're considering to answer that question, or which big chain you prefer, as long as we're talking about the mainstream chains: Costa, Starbucks, McDonald's, Nero, Greggs, Pret. Sorry if I've missed any. I'm not putting down the big cafe chains. They're okay, they're convenient, but generally speaking their coffee isn't difficult to compete with at home, in my opinion. If you're lucky enough to have a really good specialty coffee shop on your route to work with properly trained baristas, then making coffee to this level at home is more of a challenge, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But what about the second part of the question? Would she actually save money on buying a coffee machine, and if so, how much? She told me she was buying oat cappuccino every day, and they initially based the calculation on spending £2.65. Based on that daily spend using freshly roasted beans with a double shot made from 18 grams using one of the premium barista oat milks, I worked out, well, ChatGPT did, that she would save not far off £3,000 over a 5-year period. And note this isn't exact, not every machine will last 5 years. Some will last a bit less, some will last 10 years or even more, so I think 5 years is a good average. So I replied with these numbers and also explained that if she wanted to know how long the machine would take to pay for itself in terms of daily savings, using these numbers, if she spent £700 on the machine, it would be about 15 months. She replied to let me know I was way out with my estimate of £2.65 per day. She was actually spending £4.20. So in that case, the approximate savings over 5 years would be not far off £7,000, and it would take about 7 months for the machine to have paid for itself. If she made 2 coffees per day instead of 1 at home, then she'd still save just shy of £2,500, and that's based on spending £25 per kilo on beans and £2.20 per litre on oat milk, so I'm not basing it on bargain prices. And though these figures aren't exact, this doesn't account for the fact that you might end up drinking more coffee than you were previously, you may end up making coffees for visitors, your coffee machine might not last 5 years, and so on. But then on the other hand, your machine might last 6, 7, 8 years or more, and these calculations don't account for the odd day that you decide to buy a cake or something while you're in there, so I think it works. So if you're someone who spends anywhere from a couple of quid per day to £4 or £5 or dollars per day on takeaway coffee, it's very easy to work out that you probably save money if you bought a coffee machine. When you look at it from this perspective, you see that a coffee machine isn't something you're spending money on, you're investing money in it. And you'll get a return on that investment in terms of savings, in addition to the convenience and luxury of having a coffee machine at home. Let's put some other numbers through our AI friend to see what the savings would be with a few scenarios. By the way, I'm saying pounds as I'm a Brit, but you can replace this with whatever currency you use: dollars, euros or galleons if you're living in the wizarding world. Let's say you buy a McDonald's flat white every morning for £1.69, one of the best value where the chains are concerned, I think. You get a DeLonghi Magnifica S bean-to-cup coffee machine for £300. You buy freshly roasted coffee for £25 per kilo. You use moo milk for £1.20 per litre, and you use 200ml per drink. Your electricity costs about 27 pence per kilowatt hour, in case you thought I wasn't accounting for that. £1.69 doesn't sound like much. Most people spending this kind of money per day on their morning coffee probably wouldn't even realise that they're losing money versus having their own very convenient coffee machine. But even with this small daily cost, you're looking at a saving of about £2,000 over a period of 5 years, and the machine will have paid for itself in savings in about 9 months. These figures are calculated by ChatGPT, by the way. I struggle even to turn a calculator on. So if you don't think they're quite right, blame AI, not me. But just be careful. We all know what happens in The Matrix and Terminator. I always say please and thank you when using ChatGPT. So if we do ever end up with a Skynet type situation, they might remember and send me the nice Terminator 2 Arnie, not the nasty one. If you want to run these numbers for yourself just to work out how much you might save, it's really easy. Just go to ChatGPT or whatever your preferred AI platform is and tell it how much you and anyone else who will be using the machine spend on average per day on coffee. Then tell it how much you'd be paying per coffee if you used your own coffee machine. And to work this out, you'll need to know what you're paying for beans, what your usual dose would be, how much you're spending on milk, if you're making milkies, and how much you'll use per cup on average. Then ask AI how much you would save per day, how much per year, and how much over a 5-year period. And also, how long would it take for the machine to pay for itself by typing in the price of the machine you're thinking of. If you're using freshly roasted beans, £25 per kilo is a good average, I think. If you buy chocolate brownie blend from seaworks.co.uk, you'll pay £20 per kilo. In fact, you'll pay £15 for your first kilo, including delivery with the discount code YT25 if you're a new customer, or £17.99 per kilo for existing customers with the discount code CoffeeBotherers. In terms of dose, if you're using a traditional portafilter machine, a double shot is about 18 grams. If you're buying a bean to cup machine, it'll depend on the strength you select and whether you're doing single or double shots, but just use the same 18 grams to be on the safe side, as it's doubtful you use more than that with a bean to cup machine. When it comes to milk, the average moo milk is about £1.20 per litre. The barista oat and soy is about £2 to £2.50 per litre. And just allow about 200 ml for a flat white and 250 to 300 ml for a cappuccino or latte, just depending on the size of the cups you'll be using. That was Amazon. That's AI coming to get us. I'll just give you one more example. If there's two of you currently buying coffee on the way to work and you pay about £10 between you each day, about a £5 each, and no, I didn't need AI to work that out, I used a calculator. Based on the figures above, cow's milk, freshly roasted beans at about £25 per kilo, 18 gram double shot flat white, if you made 4 per day on average over a 5-year period, you'd save over £11,000. This actually makes perfect sense when you work out the gross profit the big chains make on coffee. A market research firm recently published some numbers which suggest an average markup of over 500% or a gross profit of about 84%. This doesn't take into account staff, rents, rates, energy and so on, of course. The net profits are much less impressive. But when it comes to buying a coffee machine at home, you don't have any additional overheads to take into account. So that helps to explain why you end up saving so much, even though you're obviously going to be paying more for your coffee beans and your milk than the chains are. Okay, so this is chains, and I'm focusing on chains as I think this is where the majority of people will be buying their daily coffee. So on this basis, I really don't need to be specific about the coffee machine. In my humble opinion, you could pick up the most convenient, most budget-friendly bean-to-cup coffee machine and make coffee on a par with your daily coffee from these kind of cafes, or better. When it comes to independent coffee shops, in some cases, I think the same is true. I know it's slightly controversial to say this, but in the UK at least, many independent coffee shops don't put their baristas through proper barista training. I don't understand it. They'll spend massive amounts of money kitting out the cafe, tens of thousands on equipment, take out really expensive leases and save a few £100 on training their baristas, which in my opinion is the most important thing. So this will depend on whether your local independent cafe is a specialty coffee shop with properly trained baristas or a cafe that just looks the part. And if you want to know, look for crusty white steam ones and shots that are taking less than 20 seconds to pull and then run away. If it is a specialty coffee shop with trained baristas, then matching the quality of the coffee you're enjoying each day there is going to be much more of a challenge. You'll struggle to compete with that quality with a bean-to-cup machine. You'll either need to get yourself a home barista setup and get into the home barista hobby, putting yourself through the learning curve of being able to achieve something similar at home that you'd be served in a decent specialty coffee shop, or you'll need something like the Sage or Breville Barista Touch Impress, which can deliver that kind of cup quality without the hobby element. See the video that will appear at the end of this video for more on that. You'll need to buy decent freshly roasted coffee beans and you'll need to put a bit of effort in when you're getting started, but not as much as getting started with a home barista setup. So it's doable, but it's harder, as specialty coffee shops with properly trained baristas using high quality freshly roasted beans are very difficult to compete with. But you do have the flexibility of choosing your own beans, your own recipe and so on. And if you do decide to get into this more as a hobby, you may find out that you get way more out of it in the long run than just coffee as means to an end. Am I saying that if you buy a coffee machine, you'll never go to a coffee shop again? Definitely not. This is about the daily coffee requirement, the coffee you need every day to get you to work. If you enjoy spending time in a cafe, drinking coffee, chatting with friends, enjoying the atmosphere and so on, then the fact that you own a coffee machine isn't going to stop you from enjoying that. But what it does mean is that if you currently have to go and stand in a queue on the way to the train station or take a certain route to work so you can call in at a drive-through, then having a coffee machine at home could save you quite a bit of money in the long run. So if you're really struggling to convince your partner that you need to buy a coffee machine that costs the same as a small holiday, tell them that actually you could save the cost of a big holiday. James Cameron wanted to avoid paying for permits when filming The Terminator, so some of the shoots he did in public places, they did at stupid o'clock to give him time to quickly shoot the scene before the police showed up. That has nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click the like button.
Affirmative.
Thank you very much for watching, and if you'd go back in time to protect coffee and you enjoyed this video, we've got tons of content about how to make better coffee at home to take you from beginner to home barista. We've got reviews and how-tos on the most popular machines. If you like the sound of that, click on my face to subscribe. Tatty Bye. I'll be back. So some of the shoots they did in public places, they did at stupid o'clock to give them time to quickly shoot the scene before the police showed up. That has nothing to... We're supposed to be doing that in Arnie, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do it. Get to the chopper. So how would he say? Click the like button. I'm going to
Is that Rastafari?
yeah, click the like button. Click the like button. Nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click the like. That has nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click the like button. To do with clicking the like button, but click the like button. Nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click the like button. Click the like button. Click the like button. Click the like button.
Yeah.
Click the like button. We're clicking the like button, man.
Yeah, but it'd be funny if it's